Inferno, I will gladly attest, one of the greatest, one of my absolute favorites of, I guess you could say the classic Doctor serials, certainly the third Doctor serials. I think if you're in a situation where you want to watch one of these as you're going to sleep or before you go to sleep, Inferno is one of the more ideal and thoroughly entertaining decisions one could make in terms of what to watch for classic Doctor Who serials. And at 7 parts, it would take up, 2 to 3 nights. You get a lot of mileage out of it, I feel. I love the alternate reality so much. The Primoids are mods are so cool. It feels like this prototype for Viva Vendetta, Alan Moore. It's just such a stupendous. It's thrilling. It's visually enticing. It, to me, one of the better directed of the Doctor Who classic serials, certainly of the Pertwee era. Obviously, we have Camfield set up the standard for how this serial to be directed for the first 2 or 3 episodes. Then Letts takes over, mimics the style very effectively, or maybe Letts is just quite a capable director in his own right. We've often claimed here on this retrospective that Camfield was the finest director of classic Who. I see no reason to cease believing that. Viewing Inferno, extraordinary stuff. I would like to open this now to commenters if you're so inclined. We don't get very many commenters on the classic Doctor Who retrospective, which is fine. Although I would like to bring forth what are the best classic Doctor serials in general, in your opinion. What are the best third Doctor serials? Is Inferno amongst them? I certainly think so. Although I would love to hear any disagreement if there is any. I'd like to hear from any. How often does one rewatch serials from the first 2 Doctors, from Hartnell and Troughton? I certainly love rewatching Tomb of the Cybermen or The Web of Fear, maybe even The Invasion. There's a few others from Troughton. Hartnell's there's not that many I feel compelled to go back to, although there are some. Dalek Invasion of Earth, War Machines, Time Meddler, and at least a Celestial Toymaker, for example. 10th Planet's fantastic. It's a shame that it really, when one feels like watching Doctor Who, the colour era of the show had such a profound impact on how we perceive it. Like, think about it. We know that if Doctor Who was cancelled after Troughton, it would be known as this delightful curio of the 60s. And it would have a cult fan base to some degree, but it wouldn't be what it is. And let's face it, if Pertwee was the first Doctor, as in if the show's first episode was Spearhead from Space Part 1 somehow, and then, you go all the way through to the McCoy era, through to Survival, it would be a similar sensation. It would be a similarly liked show compared to if there was just a black and white era in existence. And I think that's very telling when you employ that experiment. It just goes to show, for what it's worth, the colour era, that's the Doctor Who we all know and love. Let's face it. And so I'll conclude my thoughts here. Inferno, spectacular serial. Join us next time as we discuss Terror of the Autons Part 1. And here, the Pertwee era just keeps getting better and better because, I said Spearhead from Space, one of the very best serials up to that point in time. Better than most of the Hartnell and Troughton serials. I feel the same way about Doctor Who and the Silurians. Ambassadors of Death may be flat out the best Doctor Who serial yet up to that point in time, as much as I love Tomb of the Cybermen. Inferno, one of the very best, trumps most of the Troughton and Hartnell eras. Terror of the Autons might be my favourite thus far. The introduction of the Master, that other Time Lord Spectre who's warning the Doctor about it, the Autons themselves, and all the strange devices, the couch and that doll, there's so much visual variety in Terror of the Autons. It's jam-packed. It's like one of those. It's a 4-parter which could have been a 6-parter, but as a 4-parter, it's just so. Every minute is filled with content and entertainment. Jo Grant's introduction. I do feel as though the fact that bad first impression of Jo Grant insofar as she gets captured. We'll talk about Terror of the Autons next time. We'll close it here. Thanks everyone. I appreciate it oh so very, very immensely.